Welcome back, everybody, to the official podcast of the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office, Patrolling in Paradise. My name is Gabriella Ruiz, Public Information Officer here at CCSO. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, which was created to reduce the stigma surrounding mental health as a whole. In an effort to promote resources and educate the public, today I am joined by two strong leaders and mental health advocates in our community. Charlotte Behavioral Healthcare CEO Vickie Scanlon and Sheriff Bill Prummell. Hello, and thank you both so much for joining me today.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
So let's just roll right into it. For the two of you, mental health isn't just 1 month out of the year. Mental health is something that you're both passionate about all year long. And I want to talk about the stigma surrounding mental health and eliminating the fear of starting those conversations. Can you both share with me the importance of reducing stigma and why we shouldn't be afraid to open the conversation lines on mental health disorders? Whoever wants to start.
Well, I can kind of tell you from a law enforcement perspective, some of the things we see is, when you're dealing with individuals out in the public or you're dealing with families, it's something that they want to keep behind closed doors. They don't want to know that somebody in their family is struggling with mental illness. It's something they want to kind of hide. But the truth is the earliest you can deal with somebody who's suffering from mental illness, the better success you're going to have with getting them back on the right path. Now, when also talking about law enforcement, because you have a lot of law enforcement communications operators, correctional deputies out there, and they tend to suffer from PTSD and things of that nature just because of what they see every day or what they hear every day, the calls coming in. They actually say that law enforcement suffers from PTSD at a much higher rate than military. Because if you think about it, the military, they go out in their squads or their units and they take care of business and then they go back and they're together. And one of the best things you can do, and I'm sure Vickie can talk more about it, but one of the best things you can do about it is talk about it. So when they go back to their barracks or their camps or whatever, they talk about it and they kind of get it out. Well, when you're dealing with law enforcement, they get back in their patrol car by themselves and they're thinking about that baby call they just had where that baby just drowned or that person that just hung themselves. They're all alone and this is going through their head and they've got nobody that they're really communicating with. And from a law enforcement perspective, for many, many years, we're like, we can't show weakness. We're supposed to be strong. Mm-hmm. And we're trying to change that stigma as well because we don't want to lose good law enforcement, good communications operators because we were too proud to say that we needed help. And we are starting to see more and more law enforcement communications operators, correctional officers come forward and say, hey, I need help. And we're able to get them that help and get them back to work.
Yeah. I'm so glad you bring that up because going from call to call, and like you mentioned, you have someone that hung themselves, a baby that just drowned. They have to get back in the car and they have to go to the next call, which might be totally different. And they have to almost not suppress it, but in a way they have to put it in a box and deal with it later. And so often later never comes because, like you said, they have to be strong. And I'm glad that conversation is opening up that allows our members of the communications and law enforcement members to say, no, you can go back to that box and you can talk about it. You can open it up and kind of eliminate that stigma. Vickie, I'll ask you the same question. Can you talk to me about the importance of it?
Well, I would say, to piggyback on what you're saying, talking is how we begin to heal, right? We don't heal in isolation, we heal in community. And so it really is the beginning of healing when we talk about it. But those folks that he's talking about, the individuals and families, they, when law enforcement shows up for a mental health call, sometimes they feel shame, right? Mm-hmm. And they're embarrassed to have their neighbors know. Sometimes they're embarrassed to even have other family members that weren't aware to know. And so one of the things I think as we heal and as we reduce stigma is having the conversations, having the conversation today, having a person like our sheriff who is a trusted leader in the community really has a position to begin those conversations and making it safe for Charlotte County to have those conversations. So I think it's a changing tide that we're seeing of people are opening up more now, and it starts with all of us, with us as leaders, and with making people feel safe and reducing that stigma and shame.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because when you have a leader that isn't afraid to say, hey, you need to talk about, mental health, and it's okay to, like I said before, it's okay to open that box and talk about your feelings.
Absolutely. And to say law enforcement struggles too.
Right.
So when you're calling us, you're calling someone who's human and has the same struggles that you do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, how has the approach to mental health conversations changed over the last several years?
Well, really wasn't that long ago where, you still had that stigma and nobody spoke about mental health.
Right.
And, individuals like Vickie and myself, we were trying to push and bring it to the forefront. And then we started having people there who were talking about it, but nobody was really taking action. It really wasn't until the last couple of years where we're actually seeing our legislature and things of that nature take action. And things are changing to remove that stigma and make sure that we're getting the services and help people and get the help that people need. We still have a long way to go, but we're moving in the right direction. It's just moving a little bit slower than I'd like it to.
Now, Vickie, we know that mental health is not specific to an age group, an ethnicity. It doesn't discriminate. So how would you encourage families to start the mental health conversation?
I think that it's important that we all acknowledge that all of us at any point in our life will struggle, if not having a mental health diagnosis, with struggling with symptoms of a mental health disorder, whether it's depression, anxiety, OCD. All of us at some point will experience life and therefore have struggles with life. And so I think that we start there with what the sheriff is saying, and that normalizing it, that all of us have these struggles and some have more significant struggles than others. I think that having programs like the IRIS program, as people begin to struggle more, and having not only law enforcement, but having a therapist respond and being able to, in that moment, support people and allow people to open up more about their crisis. I think we've set the stage in Charlotte County for people to begin opening up more strongly, even about not just smaller struggles that we all have, but even about more significant struggles. I think we're creating that safe place for that.
Right. And I'm so glad that you brought up the fact that sometimes it is just life. It could be the loss of a loved one. It could be, really could be anything, that sometimes people just need that conversation. They just need to open up that door and not be afraid to, because suppressing it and not talking about it, it's not good for anybody.
Agreed. So our job is to make sure that people know that it's okay to not be okay, and then that people know that there are resources, whether it's therapy if you don't have any kind of insurance, or all the way up through an intensive supportive service like IRIS, that all of these services are available, and that's what we have them for, right?
Right, absolutely. They're there to be utilized. Now, Sheriff Prummell, I want to make sure we talk about the resources, and Vickie, like you mentioned, I want to make sure we talk about the resources available to people in Charlotte County. Unfortunately, sometimes mental health and substance abuse do go hand in hand. And Sheriff, I know you recently spoke at the grand opening of the CBHC Specialized Adult Detox and Recovery Unit. Can you talk about the partnership that CCSO has with CBHC?
Absolutely. I've said this several times. I'll say it again. I think God sometimes acts in mysterious ways. And, Vickie and I first met each other back in Leadership Charlotte back in 2011. That's before she was a CEO of Charlotte Behavioral and before I was sheriff. and we became friends. Well, then we fast forward a couple years, and she's CEO and I'm sheriff. And it started with addiction recovery. When I first came in as sheriff, and long ago when I was a baby cop, I basically, if you did the crime, you did the time. And I just locked up everybody. Dopers. It didn't bother me. It's like, you made that decision, so now you have to pay the consequences. And when I first came in as sheriff, I still had that kind of belief, because a lot of our substance use is related to a lot of our crimes. So I told my people to get out there and let's lock up these dopers. But then I really took a look back, and I'm like, well, I can't arrest myself out of this problem because I wasn't solving the issue, because eventually they were getting back out and they were still committing crimes because they still had an addiction.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I got with Vickie the first time, and we talked about the addiction recovery initiative. And she came right on board with it, said, yes, let's do this, let's figure it out. And so we started with that. And then a few years later, Parkland happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting back in my office, I was reading the report, and I was thinking about this, and I'm like, this can happen in any community, anywhere. People slip through the cracks all the time. I mean, traditionally as law enforcement, we'd get called to somebody who's acting out, and we'd go, if they met the criteria for a Baker Act, we'd take them for a Baker Act. If they didn't, we'd calm the situation, and then we'd go on to the next call. We really didn't solve any issues.
Mm-hmm.
Because and Vickie knows this better than anybody, and that's a lot of a misconception too, is I think Baker Act is treatment. It's not. Baker Act is not a treatment. It's just to stabilize somebody. So I was looking at this, and I got with Vickie again and saying, hey, Vickie, I'm really concerned about this. We got people out there that are slipping through the cracks here in our community, and I don't want to have a Parkland here. So we actually started out together as bringing on one clinician who basically worked in the office with the sheriff's office, and as deputies went out, they would refer cases to her if they came across somebody that needed a follow-up. Well, then that kind of exploded a little bit more, because we're like, well, we're making a difference, but we're not making a big enough difference, because you still want to get the person when they're in crisis or they're going through the issue. You want the right person talking to them.
Right.
So that's when we got a deputy together with clinicians, and we developed the IRIS team. And so the IRIS team, they work out in the community. They're in an unmarked patrol car, and there's a specially trained deputy alongside a clinician, and they respond to mental health calls and substance use calls. And one of the big things they do is they do follow-up. So they not only go to the initial call, but they will follow up with the individual in the community to make sure that they're following the plan that they need. They'll work with the family to make sure that the family understands what needs to be done and that person's following the plan. Also, if they were, for some reasons, to miss an appointment, they'll go out there and make contact and say, hey, well, what happened? Why'd you miss your appointment? And I think most of the time it's because they just didn't have a ride. So we'd make arrangements to get them a ride to make sure that they got to their appointment. So having the follow-up at the community has been really big too. But again, this is the partnership with Charlotte Behavioral and the Sheriff's Office, and it's because of friendships. So friendships, contacts. So, it's all about the partnerships. It's about the proper training. And, things have been working really well here in Charlotte County.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's a testament to community partnerships, because like you mentioned, you weren't CEO and you weren't sheriff, and now you fast forward to the year 2026 and look at the difference that a friendship has made for our community.
Right. And it's because this problem is bigger than each of us individually. It's a substantial challenge, and we need partnerships in the community to address it.
Right. It takes more than one person, absolutely, because you can't just have one person starting the conversation. It has to be multiple people coming together to say, we need to make a change. And I'm sure you'll both agree with me, the work is still ongoing. It's going to be beyond 2026. It's it's a constant battle, and I don't like to use that word, but mental health is a battle, and it takes people supporting it and working towards solutions and following up and providing those resources to people in need.
Well, and it's grown a lot because now we have more than 90 different partners in Charlotte County and around Charlotte County that we're using for various things. Because we'll go out too and we'll find that there's an elderly person living on their own and their house is in disarray. They've got no food, the water's turned off. Well, we're able to make sure that we're putting them in contact. We got a caseworker that specifically works with individuals like that. That again, it was a partnership with Charlotte Behavioral. They work for Charlotte Behavioral, but they work within the sheriff's office, and they do follow-ups on that stuff. And we just have over 90 different contacts now, depending on the situation, depending on the need of that individual, that we can reach out and say, hey, this person's in need, and we're able to get the help they need.
That's amazing. Vickie, I know the specialized adult detox and recovery unit is relatively new, but I was wondering if you have any feedback or stories thus far that you could share on its progress.
We've been really busy. We expanded to 48 beds. We've hit 47 beds since we expanded, and it's only been a couple of weeks.
Wow.
Folks are really appreciating the space. We focused on making it a very comfortable, nice space. It is built a bit more like a prison because it is an involuntary unit, but you wouldn't feel that. I think you can attest when you
Yes.
walk on it. It's extremely comfortable and home-like. And so it's really that comfortable space for people to recover. Everybody, of course, would like to be on the new unit. We have our older unit that we're continuing to update and renovate, but people are really, really liking that resource to be available. We're able to keep people a bit longer under the Marchman Act now, which is not something we were able to do. We wanted to, but we were very overcrowded for some time, so we can hold people longer to ensure that their next placement, that a bed is open. If they're waiting for a residential bed, we can actually hold them in a safe space until that bed becomes available, which is very pivotal for some folks.
Wonderful.
So it's been positive.
Yeah, and
That's-
that just kind of tells you that it's the state of affairs. I mean, they just opened up and they're nearly at capacity.
Wow.
But that's another thing we partnered with too, is we were dealing with these overdoses all around the county, and what we started doing is Marchman acting the individuals. So
Mhm.
again, it's working with Charlotte Behavioral to making sure that those people are getting services.
Now, Sheriff, for those listening that might not know exactly what a Marchman Act is, can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, a Marchman Act is basically a Baker Act, but it's for substance use. It's somebody who has basically overindulged
Mhm.
or they're showing addiction. What we started using it for is individuals who've overdosed. Of course, it wasn't fatal overdose. We've been able to save many people.
Mhm.
And what we do is once they're treated, then they're put under a Marchman Act, which may basically mean they're taken into protective custody and they're taken to a detox center.
Thank you. Now, Vickie, I want to talk to you specifically about the shift in focus from mental health and not necessarily this mental health as an illness, but mental health wellness. I know we want to try to change that outlook and kind of eliminate that word altogether. Can you elaborate on the wellness aspect of it?
Right. So a couple of years ago, we decided we wanted to move towards, for Mental Health Month, we wanted to move towards a stronger wellness focus, really focusing on talking with the community about tools that they can use to be healthier and to move towards mental wellness. At the same time, the Peace River Botanical Gardens was looking to partner with us for something related to Mental Health Awareness Month.
Oh, nice.
And so that is where Bloom into Wellness was born. And it's basically an event outdoors. Have you been to the Peace River Botanical Gardens?
I actually
They're
haven't.
spectacular. It's just beautiful acreage right along the Peace River in Punta Gorda. And so they partnered to bring our mental health event to their venue with tables set up with different wellness resources, different agencies, and then yoga and different activities on their big lawn. And so it's been very well received with, I think, around 150 people coming.
Oh,
And we've
wow.
gotten some new people, so we're really excited about it.
So this is an event that happens every year, or?
Every May. In fact, we just had it 2 weeks ago, so we want everybody to put this on their calendar for next year. We will be back at the Peace River Botanical Gardens again.
Awesome. And it's free for people to come, or how do they just sign up for
It's
it?
free. They can come in and they can walk around the gardens. They can go out by the harbor and enjoy that. You don't have to be into yoga. Some of the people that come really enjoy the free yoga session. But we have the different tables set up with different community partners such as NAMI, Kathy's Place of Charlotte County. They were there, so we have a lot of community partners, as he said, that participate and get the word out as well.
That's amazing, and I'm glad to hear that it is a free event, because the word free, those resources that are free to the community, it's about access. It's about giving these people access to free resources so that they can kind of take those first steps towards mental wellness and recovery, really.
I agree. And our perspective is that mental wellness isn't about one big life-changing thing that you do. Typically, mental wellness is about stacking small habits and activities on top of each other, like exercising and getting a good night's sleep and having stress management and communicating about your struggles, right? So these are the things that we stack daily to improve our wellness.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter who you are and what your struggles are. You only improve your life by having more wellness habits. And so that's really our intent, is to help people there.
Yeah, absolutely. Taking that time to kind of put yourself first in a way and address what you need to, but also realizing that these little steps that you take can build those habits and lead to long-term success and recovery, like we talked about earlier.
Absolutely. And a healthier community, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, Sheriff Prummell, the last time that you were on our podcast, you talked about the Tristan Murphy Act. And I was wondering if you had any updates on how that implementation has been going.
Well, we had pulled together a meeting with the state attorney's office, the courts, the public defender's office, the judges, to develop a plan on how we were going to implement it here in Charlotte County. With the help of a lot of people from the state attorney's office and the public defender's office, we were able to put a process together. And Charlotte Behavioral Costs, sorry, I didn't mean to leave you out. They were there too.
She's like, I'm right here.
We were able to put together a plan. It's been implemented, and there's people going through the process. We just started up in what January about, right? Mm-hmm. So it's still kind of new to see what the outcomes are. So hopefully by next year, we'll be able to look at some of the outcomes and some successes for it. But we do have it up and running here in Charlotte County, and we're hoping that more and more counties will pick it up, because they're under the Tristan Murphy Act in the bill. It's also changed some grant applications where those counties that are fiscally constrained can apply for grants to get money to get it up and running within their community.
Oh, awesome. That's great. Now, the Tristan Murphy Act is on the detention side of the house, and I know you both brought up the IRIS unit, which is more the law enforcement side of the house for our deputies that are going out and responding to these mental health related calls. Now, for those that are listening that don't know what IRIS stands for, do you mind giving what the acronym is?
Integrated Response for Intervention and Services.
Nice. You passed the quiz.
I'm so glad he passed it.
Did I put you both on the spot there?
Yeah. Had to think about it.
It is a relatively long acronym, but you nailed it. A+. So talking about the law enforcement side of the house and the IRIS unit, and like you mentioned, that clinician going out with our deputies responding to these critical calls. Can you both share with me the benefit that you've seen both on the CCSO side of the house and the CBHC side of the house to having these dynamic duos go out to these calls?
Well, I see it's doing exactly what it was designed to do. It's diverting people away from the criminal justice system. Now, of course, there are still individuals that get stuck in in the system, depending on what they did and their actions at the time. But when we're able to get the IRIS team out there, if it's something really minor, if you're dealing with crime-wise or uh, just somebody who's acting out, we're diverting them away from the criminal justice system and into services. And then, as I mentioned, with the follow-up is huge.
Hmm.
And the follow-up was really something that, as the program got going, is we decided to do it. I think Vickie actually came up with that, and we spoke about it. And I'm like, that's actually a great idea. So we're keeping tabs on the people in the community, and this way they're not falling through the cracks, which is why this was all designed in the first place.
Right. Yeah.
And for us, we've always had patients that we have concerns about, but we are not out in the community. We have patients that we treat in the community, but we're not out in general overseeing the status of the community. And so it's been an incredible resource for us with a patient that we're concerned about to be able to make that referral to IRIS, and it's a very non-threatening approach. Um, sometimes these are folks that it wouldn't be appropriate for a therapist to go alone into the community to check on this person. And I think the combination of law enforcement and the therapist together increases the safety of the patient and also everyone involved. And so I would say that that's been one of the biggest gets for us, is just the ability. Somebody leaves and we're not feeling quite right and we're concerned for
Right.
that individual, that we have that ability to do that checkup in a non-threatening, caring way is a game changer for CBHC.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you used that word, the non-threatening aspect, because for somebody who is already in a state of mental crisis, to have the law enforcement uniform with the marked vehicles pulling up to their
Just
house.
showing up because we've called,
Exactly.
right? That wouldn't feel right, but this is a softer approach and it's more welcome
Right.
by the individuals that we serve.
It's an approach that allows them to not feel threatened, even though they're not being approached in a threatening way. They sometimes just that softening of, I know our IRIS deputies, they wear the polos, and it's more.
It's a softer approach, like she
Yeah.
said. And, more and more people are aware of the IRIS unit now in the community, because when they call dispatch looking for assistance, we have a lot of people now are specifically asking for an IRIS unit.
I love that.
Thousands of people, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it really has been staggering, pretty out of the gate. Sometimes you start up new services and it takes years and years for
Right.
them to kind of take hold and for the community to understand them and know how to reach them. I don't think we had that with Iris. I think pretty out of the gate, it was a strong response, and the Iris team has been busy, and our numbers show it, that there's an absolute need in our community, and it's welcome by our community.
I'm so glad to hear that it is successful and that it will be successful for years to come. Now, as one final question, and as we get ready to close the month of May and Mental Health Awareness Month, I want to ask each of you for your closing thoughts or the message that you would like to say to those in the community that might be struggling with mental health. Vickie, I'll go ahead and start with you.
I would say that first off, there's resources regardless of what your financial circumstance is. And so I would encourage folks to seek out the support they need. I do, as I said at the beginning, I believe that healing happens in community, and it happens by having the conversations. And I would encourage anybody who's struggling to begin having those conversations with loved ones, trusted friends, and recognize when maybe their symptoms aren't improving and they need professional support. And CBHC is here for folks that need it. There's many great resources in Charlotte County, and so the journey really begins with the first step of asking for help. I would also say that, I think our families struggle, and I would encourage families to get the support that they need. A lot of times we hear, IRIS is hearing from not necessarily individuals, but the loved one who's really worried. And I just have a heart also for those loved ones and the stress and the concern that they live with. And so just recognizing the needs of the loved ones of individuals with mental health disorders is super important. And CBHC is actually hoping to start a program into next year going forward to work with parents of youth who have significant mental health disorders, because these parents, they feel like they failed, and they struggle with stress and worry for their youth, guilt. They don't know what to do, and I think we need to come alongside the loved ones more. And so that's something that I'd like to see our community do more of. I think we're doing a great job coming alongside individuals who are struggling, and Iris is doing a great job coming alongside family members as well. And so I'd just like to see us do more of that. I'm super grateful for the partnership that we've had with Sheriff Prummell and the entire organization at CCSO. I think it's been built through this friendship and partnership over years, but also at the leadership and line level over decades. And I'm really proud of it, because you don't see that in every community. And so I do want to thank the sheriff and CCSO for all of the amazing things that we've been able to do together over the years. I believe our community is better because of the partnership, and I look forward to watching what's to come.
Awesome. That's great to hear. And Sheriff?
Ditto.
That's all, everybody.
No, honestly, I don't know what more to add to that. I mean, she hit the nail on the head, and I'm very thankful for her partnership and her friendship. And like she said, it does extend down, because even our troops on both sides have been working great together. I mean, even on the jail side with our reentry programs and everything we're doing over there, making sure when people are coming out of the jail that they're maintaining the services and getting what they need when they're released, so they become an active member of society, and they're not coming back. But the support of the families. We do get a lot of calls from the families asking for advice, asking what they need to do. We give a lot of counsel to the families as well as the individuals out there in the community. And, like I said before, the program is working well. People are trusting in the program because they're asking for it, and it's just doing what it was designed to do. And I'm very grateful for that. And I'm very grateful for the partnership and friendship with Charlotte Behavioral and Vickie.
That's awesome to hear. And I'm excited to see the support for the people that are offering support to their own loved ones. I'm excited to see those resources come out, and again, see what started as a friendship, and to see what CCSO and CBHC can do in the future. Well, thank you both so much for joining me today. Thank you for the work that you both do all year long for mental health, and bringing awareness and trying to remove that stigma on mental health conversations. And like I said, I just look forward to seeing the continued partnership with CCSO and CBHC.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having us. We appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, everyone, that does it for this episode of Patrolling in Paradise, the official podcast of the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office, and we will see you next time.